Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome here at Crypto Hash Review. We educate and disseminate information about Bitcoin from a Muslim perspective, and we continue our series about living a Bitcoin standard. Now, some people say, can gift card vouchers? Not every company takes gift card vouchers. How do you do other things? How do you pay for other things that don't take Bitcoin vouchers? For example, that may be an argument. Some people say, yeah, I guess so, but maybe not. So there are many other options that you can take in order to spend your Bitcoin freely. One of them is something called WireX. WireX is a company which exists in the UK, and other countries have their own companies that do the same thing. And essentially what they do is they have a debit card that allows you to top up your debit card with Bitcoin, and then you can use your debit card as a normal debit card. So it's a prepaid debit card. So debit cards come in many different forms and fashions. One of them is a standard credit card, where essentially is a card which offers you credit, offers you loans. You can go and buy things on credit where someone else pays now and then you pay them back later on. That's a standard credit card, which we all know from Muslims or from Islam that is haram. Then you have a normal standard debit card, which essentially is the same thing, meaning that there is still credit going on behind, but you have to at least have your debts backed by something that's there, you could say. So when you go to pay at the shop, you give them your debit card, and the transaction will only go through if you have the subsequent amount of money in your bank account. It doesn't mean that the money from your bank account goes to their bank account instantly, no. But what happens is that they make an agreement that he will settle that debt behind with the money that's already in the funds. And your bank account will essentially lock off that money aside until it gets to final settlement. So you may think that a debit card you're paying directly, your money goes from your account to his account instantly, but it doesn't. An agreement is made, and over a period of days, hours, sometimes even months, it will take time for them to settle their debt on the back end. But the only difference between a credit card and a debit card is a credit card, it's that you don't have to have the funds in your account. You actually pay them back later on with interest. Whereas a debit card, you have to have the funds, but there's still a debt going on in the background. Whereas Bitcoin, or these Bitcoin debit cards, essentially it's the same thing as a debit card, whereby your merchant is still getting his fiat, the same normal route of through credit, where he is owed from one bank to another bank, and eventually they will settle in the back end. But instead of your funds in the back end being in your account being backed by the same fiat currency, it's being backed by Bitcoin. So your Bitcoin will be in your account, and the moment you make a transaction, they will instantly convert your Bitcoin into that local currency and then ship it over to the other company, however way that fiat works. So some may say, but brother, I thought you were on the Bitcoin standard and you're trying to avoid the riba. Isn't this the same thing as riba? Well, yes, but no. So essentially, until you make the transaction, you exist and have your Bitcoin, and your Bitcoin is not a ribawi. Your Bitcoin is not, it didn't come into existence through riba, where fiat did. So from that perspective, you are essentially external from riba. Your money actually exists, not a liability that exists, it's actually there. Whereas once you now make the purchase and the merchant is getting his fiat and your Bitcoin is converted into fiat, then yeah, from that moment onwards, then you're back into that whole riba system. But that's unavoidable, to be honest, if he still wants fiat. This is the issue. If he wants the fiat, then that's what he has to do. That's what he wants, and that's what you're going to give him. And that's essentially not really your fault. That's just what they want. But if they wanted Bitcoin, then you give them the Bitcoin. So you should say to someone, do you want to accept Bitcoin? If they say yeah, then great. But if not, then you keep your ribawi fiat, and it is what it is. So here's an example of a WireX card that I have. So here's a WireX card. This one is a MasterCard version. So this is MasterCard debit card. And there are other companies, they use Visa. So anywhere that accepts MasterCard, you just literally go in there like a normal ATM and just pay for it like that. So we have an app here, WireX app. And essentially here, you can either register or log in. I'm not gonna go through the whole process because, well, let's see, register. So it's literally asking for your country, your email address and password. And let's just select country, let's say UK, United Kingdom, email address. I've got to make one up. and then password. And essentially, once you've done your email address and password, then you get access to your account, and from there you can top up your account with Bitcoin, and then you can spend what it is. However, one needs to be aware that essentially in this method of living, because you're essentially transferring money from Bitcoin into fiat, and then from fiat to them through their banking rails, they are going to want to know who you are. So KYC, know your customer, or anti-money laundering rules apply to you. So when you set up this account, you need to go through all the process of identification, passport, ID, proof of address, all that stuff you need to go through in order to get this card. You can't get this card without registering yourself into the system. Why? Because although you have your Bitcoin, they want to transact through that infrastructure, through the riba infrastructure that already exists. And it kind of is unavoidable from that perspective, if that's how they want to interact. But that is a way which you can still exist and live on Bitcoin. So what you would do is you only top up your card or your wallet with the amount of money you want to spend in that week or in that day or whatnot, and then you spend it, and your Bitcoin is still in your wallet. So you can keep your Bitcoin in Moon Wallet, in Wallet of Satoshi. You can keep it wherever you want to do, and then you just top up whenever you want to spend and go wherever you need to spend. So the company you're going to doesn't have to even know you're spending Bitcoin. As far as they can see, you've got some green card. They have no idea what it belongs to, but they're getting fiat into their bank account, and that's pretty much it. So, and the good thing about this is that this is anywhere in the world which accepts MasterCard. It could be in Turkey, could be in Malaysia, could be in whichever country accepts that infrastructure. Then you can pay your Bitcoin, and they have none the wiser or none the ways that you are transacting in essentially Bitcoin, or that you're leaving it on Bitcoin. Oh, and by the way, if you wanted a referral code for this, I'll put in the link in the description below. So maybe I think you get a couple of pounds free of charge just by using the referral code, and I'll get some as well. Anyway, assalamu alaikum.